on your first fill-up.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People age 5 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. A slight chance of snow tonight with a low of 23, then a slight chance of snow again Wednesday with a high of 29. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Ogama, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. But I don't know why I haven't echoed.
Yeah, I don't know either. It sounded pretty good there from here, other than the dramatic pauses, but that must have been the echo. Hey, we have Nancy Beaulieu on tonight. We're going to dive deep into treaties with Nancy. Because we always talk about treaties, but sometimes we gloss over the fact that a lot of people don't understand that we're all treaty people and what that really means. So I'm really excited to have Nancy explain it to us and do a Treaties 101 kind of a show today. And then Ogama and I will talk a little bit about the news that is going on around Native country and just things in general in the last segment. And Ogama, do you think you got your echo chamber fixed there? You
I
got
hope
me?
so. How do I sound to you?
You sound okay to me.
All right, as long as there's no echo for you, I think I can probably make it work on my end.
All right, we'll check it out. Give it a shot.
All right, Bonjour, Amin, everybody. This is Ogama Ganouakwe, and I have some news for you here on Native Roots Radio. The first thing I want to touch base on is a recap of the Spark Joy Extinguish Fossil Fuels Day of Action that happened last Friday, January 20th. Hundreds of activists across Turtle Island going to honor the life and the legacy of longtime fellow pipeline fighter Joy Bond as part of a nationwide day of action and demanded that the Biden administration declare a climate emergency to stop new fossil fuel development. There were 27 actions across 15 states, and they went all the way from Hawaii all the way to Oklahoma, Montana, and New Mexico, and there was one event in Germany. So that was really exciting to see that come through, and it heals the heart when we see these types of actions that take place in memory of our fellow pipeline fighters who were lost or who are unable to be here with us in this realm anymore. Joy Braun, a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe in Eagle Butte, South Dakota, and she fought the construction of toxic oil and gas pipelines and was one of the first founders at the Sacred Stone Camp at Standing Rock. So it's really exciting to see this type of event coming through, and like I said, it warms my heart that we got to spend time with Joy while she was here, and that her legacy is carried on that way.
It sounds like
I
we're
do.
still echoing big time. The people are saying us. Patrick, how are we sounding at the radio station?
Oh, we sound pretty good on our end, I think.
Okay.
I don't know
Well,
why.
Nancy, I can see you. Am I echoing too?
No,
Oh,
just
so
me.
it looks like it's a StreamYard issue here. If I'm echoing, am I echoing, Ogama?
I don't hear an echo for you. I only hear an echo for me.
Let's bring Nancy on here. Nancy, can you hear me? Am I echoing too? Oh, okay. Alice said just Ogama. Nancy, can you give me unmute your mic real quick? We're doing this on the fly. This is like live TV. Give me a count.
Sure.
Oh, you sound good.
We're all treaty people.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Nancy. No echo for me, and it looks like I don't know, Tracy. Is there echo for Fancy Nancy too? No. Okay, cool. Just Ogama, it looks like. So maybe we can jump into this segment right away and pretend it's not a rehearsal and that this is live radio. Oh, who? Oh, it says Nancy is echoing big time too. So maybe what we have to do is, oh, is that true? Nancy, give us a quick count because I don't hear you echoing here.
Basic niche. Oh, now I am echoing.
Oh, that's crazy. So maybe it's a StreamYard issue. And if I'm not echoing, maybe we need to have everybody call the station here in the next 4 minutes, and I'll just do a tap dance here and talk about treaties a little bit here. I think we're going to have everybody. Ogama, give it a shot, but I guess Nancy's echoing too. So we're echoing over StreamYard, which we do the show on YouTube and Facebook, and it sounds like I'm not echoing, but you're echoing and Nancy's echoing. So it must be a StreamYard situation. Yeah. So that's crazy. One of you give us a call at 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205, and then we'll just mute you here and talk to you over the phone. So Patrick, it's really strange. We're all made out of electrodes, and whenever there's a little mishap, whether it's coming from our bodies or from the atmosphere, there's electronics are just such a tricky thing. It seems like, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure.
It's funny too when I used to do film and edit. If there was like, I don't know, if it was negative vibes and we weren't smudged off, weird stuff would happen all the time, and it was totally bizarre that it was like Murphy's Law. If you needed to finish this project by a 9, and you wouldn't do it, especially if you were, not in a good way, if you were like stressed out, and stress comes with finishing projects and things like that. But 9 times out of 10, and I don't think that's what's going on here, but I just think it's really bizarre how electronics are affected by the atmosphere and kind of the vibes we're giving out too. So it's a total bizarre thing. I'm wondering, Ogama, did you try and call the station?
Yep, we do have Ogama now on the phone line with us. Speaking of people now coming over through the electricity.
Yeah. Oh, good. That was a good intro. Go ahead, Ogama. You got 2 minutes to do all the news you can.
Sure, no problem. I'm really happy to be able to be on with you guys again today, even if it's in a slightly different way than normal. I did touch base on the candlelight vigil, and the other couple of things that I had to talk about are exciting things for the Leonard Peltier movement, and a couple of things for the Minnesota State House of Representatives. The Minnesota State House has passed the PRO Act, protecting Minnesotans' reproductive freedom. They passed it just at the end of last week with a final vote of 69 to 65, and the bill basically means that Minnesotans have a fundamental right to reproductive care, and it is now moving into the Senate to act on the bill, and then Governor Walz has signaled that he's going to sign that legislation into law. So very excited about that. And there's also some things that have happened through too with the House putting through action to ban conversion therapy here in Minnesota. So that is being heard in different committees and caucuses in the House, and that is another exciting one that's coming through. And then the other one that I wanted to touch base on is that it looks like there's going to be a rally and vigil at the California State Capitol, marking the 48th year of the illegal incarceration of Leonard Peltier. That's going to be in Sacramento, California, on February 6th, and they'll be holding a silent vigil at the California State Capitol starting at 11:30 a.m. on the west side. So if you're listening to us from California, or if you're here in Minnesota and you want to have a mirror action, make sure you are tuning in with that. And those are my big things I have for today, Robert.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Ogama. Up next, Nancy Beaulieu on TV and on the phone. We'll give you a call right now, Nancy. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we're doing it with duct tape and smoke signals today. Oh, wow. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Getting vaccinated doesn't have to be boring. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul is having a COVID-19 community vaccine event on Friday, January 27th that will feature music, crafts, art vendors, and more. Not only will you get to enjoy some great art, but you'll also receive $50 of gift card incentives when you get your shot. So protect yourself from COVID while having some fun enjoying Minnesota's vibrant Indigenous art scene. Again, that's Friday, January 27th from 3 until 7 at the Indigenous Roots Cultural Center in St. Paul.
Take care of your community by joining Metro Transit's Adopt a Stop program. Show your community pride by adopting a transit stop. Join us in helping keep the stop and your neighborhood beautiful, and report any maintenance needs to us. We'll put a sign at the stop recognizing your efforts, plus you'll get 10 free rides every month. Get details at metrotransit.org/adopt. Again, adopt a stop for Metro Transit.
The Senior Linkage Line is a free, statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging, helping older Minnesotans and caregivers find answers and connect to services and supports. Questions about Medicare, transportation, looking to move to senior housing, overwhelmed with prescription drug plans? Call the Senior Linkage Line at 800-333-2433 or visit trellisconnects.org, where we help people optimize well-being as they age. That's trellisconnects.org.
This is Winona Duke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this portion is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition, who have been with us for many, many years, and we appreciate their support. And as you probably both know, and our audience knows, the 14th is a go this year, and that's the MMIW walk here in the Twin Cities. And prior to COVID, there was thousands of people wearing red dresses and red shirts and supporting the MMIW and wondering where our lost loved ones are. Hey, Nancy, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome. You're kind of a frozen picture now on the screen here, but in a good way. Oh, there you are. Hey, so we're gonna try and do some stuff here today, and we talked a little bit about we have people listening to us all the time, new listeners, and we probably lost half of them today with our technical difficulties, but we should maybe backtrack a little bit and talk about really what treaties are and how they are everybody's treaty, and maybe a little history of treaties, and do a little 101 treaty show today. And you're the person that I thought of first and second, by the way, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Right. Is there a possibility that, I suppose not, Ogama could not probably share that video I really wanted to share? It was
She can, she said. She can.
Yeah, let's start off with that, because I think that's a good foundation of what I want to share. And I think, this video is by NPR, and I think, it's really kind of put into layman's terms why treaties matter. And I think, not just our listeners, but everyone out there really needs a deep understanding of why people like myself defend our treaties. And so I think this is a good start, the video.
Well, I think non-Native people know that treaties were signed. That might be it.
A treaty is fundamentally an agreement between two nations.
Treaties are only made between sovereign governments.
In fact, the U.S. has made more than 300 treaties with American Indian nations.
The United States' existence, when it first won the war against Great Britain, was very precarious, and many countries around the world did not recognize the United States' sovereignty.
So the U.S., as a way to assert that it was a sovereign, it made agreements with Native nations to sort of say to Europe, to Britain, hey, we're sovereign too, we can make these agreements.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little echo going on there. So maybe what we can do, Nancy, bring you back in here.
Okay. All right. Well, again, it was a video that, is really important. Oops, I think I'm on mute.
No, you're good. We hear you.
That's right. I was looking at the screen thinking I was on mute, but I'm on a landline on the back side of it. So forgive me there. So yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about treaties, and again, I want to reiterate, regardless of what church you go to, what political party you belong to, or how you self-identify, we're all treaty people, and treaties are very much alive today.
Well,
so
I think non-Native people know that.
Oops. I think
the idea.
Yeah, Ogama. She keeps on. Okay, cool. All right, go ahead.
All right. So again, Americans don't get this history in school, and I think that's something that's in the near future. But for now, it's not there. So people like myself, we go out there and do a little Treaty 101, and a big part of that is reminding the signatories to the treaties are the Americans that still benefit from those treaties, and if your house, your business, or whatever it be, is still on this land, they are still benefiting from those treaties that their ancestors signed with ours. So treaties recognize Indian tribes as sovereign nations that exercise exclusive authority over all our people and the activities within our territories. And treaties preserve our way of life, and we have relationship rights, meaning we're all related. You heard that phrase, right, Robert? We're all related?
Yep. Yes, we are.
We have that deep connection with the land, the water, and all living beings, and that's our way of life. That's a big part of our culture, who we are, and again, our original instructions is to do what our ancestors did and protect all those living things and protect who we are, and that's what those treaties were intended to do. And a lot of people don't understand that Natives were diplomatic before being discovered by the Europeans. We had legal binding agreements, and so, as we know, the foundation of this country is built between those treaties, two sovereign nations that sign agreements. And I think we all know that in our United States Constitution, Article 6, treaties are supreme law of the land. So the misconception is that many Americans think they gave us rights, when indeed our treaties gave them rights to be here, gave them rights to hunt, fish, and do all those good things. And so, again, it's not that we have to ask for permission. I think what was lost in all, the misconceptions, the deception, is that we have to, as Native people, always ask for permission. That kind of puts us in a quasi-sovereign state, and that's not what the treaty's intended.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, Nancy. What else? What are the most asked questions you have when people talk about treaties? Are they still valid today, or are they old, or no one ever really respected the treaties? What do you hear from people?
Well, there's been a good reception when we show up because, again, like I mentioned before, treaties are not in our history books, the way they should be. So I think when we do show up and do the little Treaty 101 and build a little bit understanding, they're more curious to learn about these treaties and how they are treaty people. So I think, some of the work that we've been doing, as a DFL party, we reached out to the Republicans but got no feedback from them. But as you know, Robert, back in May of 2022, we went to the state convention with treaty resolution. And again, that was another opportunity to remind, Americans that they too are treaty people. And we want to teach them how to be a good treaty person. So I think, when we do show up, they're more curious to just understand how am I a treaty person? And I think, when we talk about everything being connected and how we want to, preserve our culture, and we also want to take care of all living things. Again, we're all related. That means even the non-Native people, we do this for them. So I think, what they don't understand is that treaties are very much alive today. As the day they were signed, they're very much alive as the Constitution is. And so when we see our public officials, our law enforcement swearing to uphold the United States Constitution, that's to include Article 6. And so because that don't happen, we show up and we do that. And I think looking at the work here in Beltrami County, the relationships we've built with our Bemidji City Council members, our commissioners, our law enforcement, and our tribal elected officials from Leech Lake, White Earth, and Red Lake, it's inspiring to know that, we all want to do something better, but because lack of knowledge of what those those treaties intended, that shared history that we have together, they don't understand how to move forward. So we're kind of like spoon feeding them in a good way of why treaties matter. And I think it's been a exciting journey for me so far. There's been a lot of challenges along the way, but being Indigenous is reminding ourselves as Indigenous people that resiliency is key. And again, you show up and you keep showing up. And you talk why these treaties are important, not to just our way of life, but to every living thing. And that regardless of how we might feel about the law enforcement or the laws put forth, we, as Native people, have a right to defend those treaties and never have to feel like we have to surrender to that. Because, again, they're Article 6 of the United States Constitution, and that has to mean something because they wouldn't be there if they didn't mean anything. So I think, people are surprised to know that they're in the Constitution when we tell them that they are Article 6.
Well, Nancy, it's great to have this show because I'm learning a lot about treaties, and I think one of the angles that you used with line 3 is talking about treaties and it was brilliant, and we should talk a little bit about that. We're going to go to a break and hope the internet doesn't break, or I should smudge off here and do all those good things, Nance.
Yeah, I think I'll take a smudge to myself. So we'll take a good break here in a good way, and we'll be back.
Ooh, good segue. We'll be right back with Nancy Beaulieu, and Ogma's out there somewhere. You're listening to Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after this short break. Ho!
COVID-19 is still here. It's not too late to get your booster. Staying up to date with vaccines can help you protect yourself from getting seriously ill from COVID-19. Get your booster at the 360 Colburn Clinic, operated by St. Paul Ramsey County Public Health, for a chance to win one of 5 $500 Visa gift cards. Each week in January, a winner will be selected from eligible persons age 5 and up who got their COVID-19 booster. To learn more and schedule your appointment, visit ramseycounty.us/booster.
Get vaccinated while discovering the inspiring work of Native American STEM professionals. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul will host a COVID vaccine clinic on Saturday, January 28th at the Science Museum of Minnesota's Native American STEM Day. Get your shot while enjoying a live DJ, activities, STEM student-led panels, galleries, and exhibitors. Plus, get $50 of gift card incentives when you get vaccinated. So let's get vaccinated and celebrate Native Americans in STEM on Saturday, January 28th from 11 to 4 at the Science Museum of Minnesota. Admission is free.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, Minnesota. This is David Packman, and you can catch my show weekdays at 2 p.m. for the latest in political news on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
This is Gregory Rich, host of Drink in the Style and owner of Habitation Furnishing and Design. People often ask me, why habitation for my home? Well, I could give you hundreds of reasons. I could talk about the extensive collection of furnishing suppliers, or our exceptionally talented design team. I could talk about service, but the truth is, Habitation clients come back room after room and home after home, and that speaks volumes. Habitation, put some drama into your interiors.
Thanks to everyone who supported AM 950 for the last 3 years. Good news, the AM 950 2023 calendar is ready to go, featuring photos I took around Minnesota and important progressive dates. If you sign up to become a member with a one-time $50 membership or recurring monthly membership of $10, you'll receive a 2023 AM 950 calendar as a thank you gift. Go to am950radio.com to become a member and receive a calendar. That's am950radio.com. Thank you so much for supporting AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Beaulieu. A slight chance of snow tonight with a low of 23, then a slight chance of snow again Wednesday with a high of 29. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Bijou. I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Hey, we are being supported by the Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition. We're here with Nancy Beaulieu, and we're talking about treaties and kind of what treaties are and how cool they are and how people possibly, have questions about it. And I know I have, and I said just before we went on break, Nancy, when the fight of Line 3 first started and you were bringing up treaties, I think a lot of people thought that you were brilliant by that. I hate to put it in this way, that angle, but in that angle. Looks like you're muted. Looks like somehow you're muted.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so again, America was built on those treaties they signed with our ancestors, and so we all share the benefits and obligations to treaties, and we all have a responsibility to be a good treaty person. So treaties, again, they're living agreements, and they respect the status of a nation. So when we exercise equality, we actually respect nationhood. So again, that sovereign to sovereign piece there is important. So when we sign those treaties with the United States government, they need to be better at doing what they're doing, because we don't see that right now. But I do have some good news a little bit later. Sovereignty, again, is a collective, and I think, we don't talk about that enough, what that means, because a lot of the times we'll see our elected officials on the state side go and visit with our tribal elected officials and then think that whatever they say and do and recommend for us is a given, and it's true, and it's not, because again, the RBCs, the Reservation Business Committees, our chairmen, our secretary treasurers, our tribal reps, they are actually just another an extension of the United States government under the Indian Reorganization Act. So again, they do not hold sovereignty for all of us. We have that individually. We were born with it. And collectively as a people, we have a right to bring our forces together and protect everything, because we are the sovereign and not some appointed government body under the Indian Reorganization Act. So when sovereignty is exercised without the intervention from, it's exercised without the intervention from the, how do I want to say that, the internal authorities. So our native sovereignty, again, is inherent. And again, this country gained its sovereignty signing those treaties with us, and so they're given the right to occupy these lands. And again, they have a trust responsibility to do better. And I think, in regards to that, the EPA's revision of the Clean Water Act is a big step forward in protecting those inherent reserved treaty rights. And so, again, treaties are for the original spiritual intent and not for what was thought to be understood under the deception and the language barriers and all the misunderstandings of the treaty agreements. So treaties, again, were written to preserve Native culture and retaining the Natives' inherent right to hunt, fish, gather, and travel. And so, again, this is not just for our territories on the reservation, the ceded territory, the land that we gave up title but never surrendered our inherent right to hunt, fish, and gather. I mean, what good are those things when the water's poison, Robert? They're useless to us. So, again, there's a trust responsibility on behalf of the United States government to preserve our way of life through those reserved rights under those treaties. So again, there's so much that we need to do, and we need to do it now because of the climate change. It's exasperating, and it's here in northern Minnesota. Look at winter. It's almost gone, and it feels like we're not where we're supposed to be. And I think when we elect people into office and they swear to uphold the treaties, I think it's up to people like us to continue to show up and define what sovereignty means, because again, that's really important, and that's what I spoke to at the 1855 Treaty Authority meeting just a couple weeks ago. We're not going to win anything until we define what sovereignty is and how we use that collectively as a people and not a tribal council selling us out to make a quick dollar. And it's been a challenge, Robert, but I think we're in a good way now. I think when we first started this work, it was pretty challenging. We got gavelled a couple times, and but we just kept showing up. And now they realize that there's a lot of goodness to upholding those treaties collectively as the treaty is intended. They wanted us to be in peace and to leave the earth in a better way than we found it. So we're doing this for the future, not just for ourselves.
Absolutely. Hey, Ogama, I'm wondering if your smoke signal's working up there in Bemidji. Hoa.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And I see
Do we
your
have
lips
an
moving, everything.
echo?
I don't think so. I think Dan thinks that wolves are good people. So I just want to say that. But it's been a crazy show here, Ogama, and you have to stay on the rest of the show with me, so it's even going to be crazier. I was thinking, Nancy, too. One of the big treaty things that happened in the '90s. Do you remember the fishing rights that went on, and these crazy people that are vacationers were mad because of the treaties, and that Native Americans could fish their land at any time. That's an example, and that was a really one-sided media blitz against Native Americans in the '90s, but we prevailed.
Right, and we're going to continue to do that. And Todd Thompson was one of those defendants in that Mille Lacs case in 1999, and he was also a defendant out to Camp Firelight. So it was an honor to stand with people like himself, and I think we got lost here.
Where did you get lost?
Oh, I see a bunch of squirrels on the screen, so it's probably just a quick glitch. But again, those treaties are legal and binding peace agreements between sovereign nations that we must uphold, and we need to live as good neighbors and, really do better than what we are doing. And I think, seeing people at the Capitol tomorrow, unfortunately, I can't be there. It's lobby day for climate tomorrow at the state capitol here in Minnesota. But I'm hoping, and I did speak to the people that will be there tomorrow, that remind those DFL politicians that treaties are on their action agenda, and they have to mean something. So, I'm hoping, as we move forward, that people, not just ourselves, but these elected officials. Whoops.
Yeah. What next here?
Yeah.
Maybe
it tends to happen. I even have the volume down, but yeah. So anyhow, back to tomorrow. I'm hoping that our allies that hold space tomorrow, not just there, but even moving forward across Turtle Island, we all have to do this work at defending these treaties. And when you're out there defending them, because they are Article 6 of the United States Constitution, we shouldn't have to surrender, Robert, and we should never have to take any plea agreements because, again, they are supreme law of the land. And, I think that's, looking back at the 1999 case, kind of inspired me to continue to defend those treaties and not surrender. And, it's been an honor to do this work. And, there's goodness moving forward in regards to what's going to happen here in Beltrami County with, defending those treaties in the 1855 treaty territory. So, again, it's about that Treaty 101 awareness, building healthy relationships with our allies, and sometimes they need some education, like the new sheriff in town. He's going to get some good schooling here, and I think he's ready for it. And I'm so honored to still be here today and do this work, regardless of some of the challenges, or sometimes they don't want to agree that they too are treaty people. So I tell these non-natives in a good way, Robert, if they don't want to honor the treaties, they can always build another Mayflower and just head on back. I mean,
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
say
They
it in
should
a
change.
good way, So,
Right.
yeah. So, really, honestly, I think to be a good treaty person is just, figure out how you are a treaty person. Reach out to us at 350 and figure out how you can get engaged. Again, I feel being the first city on the Mississippi, it's all more important to defend the water because, without the Mississippi and clean water, what good is anything else?
Yeah, exactly. You know, going to the Capitol, and I'm going to try and go there tomorrow too, because I think there's a couple other things going on. There's a lot of things happening at the Capitol, and you've always said this, and I've heard this quote many times: if you're not at the table, pull up a folding chair, and you know, and there you have it. And show up and give a couple hoots, and people notice that if you're not there supporting what you believe in, it's noticeable. So it's good for people to know that, hey, we need to show up to the Capitol if we can, and represent.
Right, and like you said, if we're not at the table, we are what's being served. And if there's not a chair, bring a folding table. And I want to give a big shout out to, all of our Native relatives that ran for Minnesota House, for the Senate, for whatever it be. And quite honestly, that's a fine example of bringing a folding chair. And I couldn't be more proud to have our sister in ribbon skirts at the States bringing a voice to our people and a place at the table for us.
So yeah, hey, do you know where and what time tomorrow the people are listening here in the Twin Cities could possibly make it to the Capitol?
Right. So that starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. and goes until 1 p.m. And they are going to meet at the church that's just right behind the Capitol. I don't know the exact address, but there is a church where they're going to gather. And they're
Right.
going to give you some tools on how to speak with your representative. Most people that are going to be doing that probably pre-registered for that, but it's never too late to show up and just kind of jump in and figure out where you belong, because tomorrow we all should be there, but unfortunately not all of us can be there. But if you are going to be there, meet at the church. It's just like maybe a block behind the Capitol. You can't miss it. It's right by the train
Yep.
there.
Right on University. It's catty corner from the Capitol on the north west side of the street.
Right, and so I would say, go there, find out where do you belong and how you can best be a good voice for the day, and just be there, because it does matter. And I think it's going to be a powerful day tomorrow. If you're there, remind them, that the DFL party does have treaties in their action agenda. And again, the action agenda was something that the delegates like myself worked really hard. This is kind of the platform of the people of what we expect our elected officials to uphold and work for. So again, we don't want to let the action agenda serve as glorified words and let the politicians do as they please. I think we have to hold our feet to a fire and bring up treaty responsibility in a good way. It's always important to show up in a good way, Robert.
Right on. Hey, thanks, Nancy. This show will probably win us an Emmy. Thanks for being on and living through this with us. And I just want to say this too. I know we're breaking, but there's also Minnesota House People of Color Indigenous Caucus at 2:30 at the Capitol too. We'll talk a little bit more next with Ogma on that. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm an Echo.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org. Take care of your community by joining Metro Transit's Adopt a Stop program. Show your community pride by adopting a transit stop. Join us in helping keep the stop and your neighborhood beautiful and report any maintenance needs to us. We'll put a sign at the stop recognizing your efforts, plus you'll get 10 free rides every month. Get details at metrotransit.org/adopt. Again, adopt a stop for Metro Transit.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality, and for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schroman Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Winter is reading season. These long, frigid nights are perfect for getting cozy with a new book, and Next Chapter Booksellers can help. The friendly staff are great at making recommendations no matter your age and taste. And if you already know what you want, just place an order online for delivery at nextchapterbooksellers.com. And don't forget, they sell a wide variety of puzzles and games that make great indoor activities for the entire family. Located off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul and at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves. Please join Howling for Wolves on Wolf Day, Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 at the Minnesota State Capitol. You could sign up on Howling for Wolves event page. Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, this portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Wow. Hey, so I just, Ogama, I just wanted to prove I do read our emails once in a
Yes, I did notice that.
So,
that was one I missed.
yeah, well, we get buried, and I just want to, we got for immediate release today, Minnesota House People of Color and Indigenous Caucus to announce legislative priorities. And it's at the Minnesota House People of Color Indigenous Caucus announces legislative co-chairs, BIPOC Cedric Frazier of New Hope, Esther Abaji, and Vice Chair Alicia Kozlowski of Duluth, and other members of the caucus. 2:30, Minnesota State Press Conference Room, B971. Good to know, and we also, Nancy just sent us a message too. She appreciates our listeners, Miigwech, for making time for us. She loves them too. Hey, that's getting a little risque, but you know, that's that kind of show. Oh, Shanita loves Nancy too. So it's been quite a show here, and I know at times stressful, but I'm trying to shake it off and turn it into a comedy show. And how did I do, Ogama?
Well, welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm an Echo. I think it's a pretty good tagline.
Yeah. So we have some technology happening here with our StreamYard. We might have to find a new way to do this, but very interesting that we're all treaty people. And really, do you remember any of the Mille Lacs fight in the 90s? I know you're pretty young, and but that was a big treaty fight up there with the fishing rights, and we had our Hall of Fame coach Bud Grant up there fighting for all the Washichus, which is not a good word in Lakota, Dakota for white people, up there and fighting for our rights, our treaty rights.
Yeah, I remember it being talked about. I was a kid, and people had talked about what had happened back in 1990. I mean, I was scarcely conscious at that time, but um, it's important that people realize how modern these problems are with treaty rights and how easily they can be taken from us, and how easily the government would not have any problem doing that. Um, I think the biggest thing that Nancy said today that I would want people to hear again, that I would want to reiterate, is that the United States as a country would not have gained its sovereignty if it weren't for the treaties ceding the land for their use. So the sovereignty of the United States and its existence is intrinsically linked to the indigenous peoples' treaties that they made. And they have not kept a single one of them. Everything
Right.
has been broken on those. And I think that's something that a lot of people who are non-native allies realize, but some other people maybe have not put those connections together.
Yeah. No, and I haven't really. And I think, what we always talked about is, hey, treaties, the only treaty that the United States has ever done is none, and so leaving it at that, and but now that we're coming at them with their own law and their own treaties, and treaties being their supreme law, written in the Constitution. So you have people fighting about the Second Amendment, and we have people getting students and people dancing and celebrating, getting blown away by these submachine guns, and they're fighting over that, and we can fight over a simple thing like treaties. And you know, back up just a second, Ogma. We started the show because of what was happening at Standing Rock, and that we felt that there was no really media out there talking about it in a good way. Wendy and I would be there at Standing Rock, and then we'd hear on the news, or we wouldn't hear anything from the news. It would be a total blackout, or we'd hear this misinformation that was unbelievable. Um, and it made the peaceful protesters as the bad people, where they were getting shot with water pistols, rubber bullets, and it was cold, and things that were happening like that were inhumane. And so we've been trying to blast out in a good way, what our news and events and what we're going through as a Native people, as we don't say this a lot, but we're the first people here, and I know they say that in Canada all the time, the Native people, but we are the first people here. It's been proven that we've been here over 10,000 years, and daily it's proven by whether it's fossils or footprints that are being found, that we've been here, and we have creation stories here on this continent, on Turtle Island, that cannot be disputed. Where are we from? They want to say we're from, that the continents link together and we're from Asia, and it's just like, well, we don't have the same DNA as people from Asia, so there's that. So I just went on a little ramble there, Ogama, and I can see by the expression on your face, it's like, wow, you just went on a little ramble there.
Well, it's important to get those things off our chest and to talk about those things. And I agree that people in Canada, they call themselves First Nations for a reason. And I'm Ojibwe, but I'm actually Anishinaabe, which translates to First People as well. And it's important that we hold on to these things that we know to be true.
Exactly. And we should not have let Nancy go. She's still reporting for us. She says Article 2 of the United States Constitution, tax-free Indians, 1855, Treaty Authority addressing this. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that. I know Ho Chunk, the nation that I am, we are not reservation people. We have we have land, and we have land in Minnesota, we have land in Chicago, and we have land in Wisconsin, and so we were here in Minnesota before there was a Minnesota. You know, we were all over this 5-state area, and you know, a lot of people don't realize that. You know.
Exactly. And, this whole drawing borders with treaties and states and all those kinds of things, that was not the way that things were decided or handled prior to the settlers arriving here. And it's important to remember too that, there's two types of colonization. There's active settler colonization, and then there's the type of colonization from a distance. And we are still a part of active settler colonialism here.
Right. And, you know, people ask where you're from and, you know, or who you are. And, you know, I'm Ho Chunk and I'm from Turtle Island. And we pre-exist the white man here. And we always have to remember that. So we've made it through the show, Ogama. And we might have to change our format back to Zoom or something here. This is pretty crazy right now. But hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I want to thank everyone who stuck with us through thick or thin here of the echo chamber, and thank Ogama for not pulling out her hair, and Nancy for being a good sport, and everybody else. So we're going to work on the technology here, and we'll be back tomorrow. So we'll see you. Free Leonard Peltier now.
Hey, it's Tom telling you how all energy solar can make you see green in 2023.